Salaam Sore, Samoa. How doesn't follow up that act? Getting, you found yourself another fan. I believe you're a big, big celebrity here. Give a round of applause for him, please. I am going to go and present to you an opportunity in mobile games. It's often misunderstood that in between esports, PC gaming, and mobile gaming, even though Girish did touch upon points of how single-player gaming is moving to multiplayer gaming. But I would like to make those distinctions and also talk about mobile casual gamers. The global dominance of mobile gaming. About 2.4 billion people today game around the globe. We are a population of 7.4 billion in the world. Connected audiences, 3.2 billion. So that's a significant number that play games. 43% of those gamers are on smartphone. We have them playing 75 minutes on average. That's the daily time spent for every gamer. And 61% of all digital entertainment revenue goes on to gaming. That's huge. Let's talk about the rise of mobile casual gaming. Now, the difference is, we are not talking about esports here. We are talking about everyone who carries a mobile device and has a game on that device. Show of hands, please. How many of you are sitting next to your bosses? Others are shy. Come on, there are more bosses in the room and their colleagues around. Okay, then I'm not going to talk about the workplace gaming at all. But it's a fact. 60% mobile gamers prefer casual games, and that's exactly reminiscent of what Giring just presented. There's a myth, women don't game. 1 in 2 casual gamers are women. And 65% women play games daily. There's a 50% increase in ad spends on casual games over the last 3 years. Just a fun fact. Global box office grew by 5% in the last 3 years. 5%. The base was $39 billion. It grew to $41 billion. Any guesses on how much gaming base was? It grew by 50%. Any guesses? Less than global box office, more than global box office? More? Yeah, significantly more. It grew 50% from a base of $92 billion to $140 billion. Yes, that includes esports as well. What we also see is mobile gamers are the ones who have the highest propensity to spend. These are the guys who, when you advertise to as brand marketers, these guys will inadvertently go ahead and make purchases. Now let's talk about Indonesia. You're in this beautiful city of Jakarta. So what do we have here? 73 million gamers. 65 million of them casual gamers. 87% of all top mobile apps in Indonesia are games. And Indonesia, while maybe 16 on the global index, is the #1 gaming country in Southeast Asia. So salute to all Indonesians, yeah? 8 of 10 mobile games played are casual games in Indonesia. And 70% of monthly gamers play casual games. Let's talk a little bit about the divide between male and female audiences in Indonesia. If you look at the numbers here, almost 1/3 of both male and female audiences play mobile games from half an hour to 1 hour. The frequency of play is almost 70%. They play several times during the day. Preferred genre of games, you have strategy and action, which are popularly played by male, and puzzle and chance-based, which are more popular amongst females. And as I promised, I will not talk about 32% of you guys were playing at the workplace. 96% of you play at home. Yeah? But that is the distribution of people who are playing games across Indonesia. A lot of people do not know this, but 54% of all mothers in Indonesia play games several times a day, 5 to 7 sessions a day. And 67% of all moms, all females, and mothers are playing games. The most popular format is puzzle, followed by strategy and chance-based. And yes, 27% of them play while they work. Let me call upon two of my friends here on stage, John and Guy. John is digital lead for Axe Indonesia. Guy is communication director at Nestlé. And let's just have some fun. We'll ask some questions. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming in, participating. Let me start with you, John. There's usually, marketers have this laggard tendency of following consumers onto a consumptive platform. But in your case, I see Axe was also presented by Giring as one of the sponsors with esports. What were some of the challenges that you faced while jumping onto the bandwagon for gaming, and why?
Okay, so I guess to start with, Axe has never been known as a gaming brand. It's never a gaming brand. It's a personal care brand, but it's definitely more than just a deodorant brand. I think with all the equity and saliency that we have tried to build over years, and it's not just locally, but it's also globally, we have turned ourselves into sort of like almost a lifestyle brand. Now, I think a lot of the times, I think games now is not just something you do to kill off time, but it's turning into a profession even. Like a lot of the kids now, if you come up and ask them, they would say, "Oh, I want to be a professional gamers now." And it's not just gamer; it's YouTuber even, they say. So it's turning into a showbiz even. And I think we're also trying to help to break the stereotype of gamers. Like when you hear the word gamers, you think of like people who are like, they don't take care of themselves, they look nerdy, they think bad probably, like they stay like nights and nights in their bedroom just playing games. But we're helping to bridge that gap, and I think that's where the brand also comes in and helps to help them address the issue and help them boost their confidence through the range of our product. Yeah, I think that's how we manage it. And I mean, the industry itself is a growing mammoth, and yeah, it's just a matter of us making the first move into the industry as well.
Guy, do you game?
Not at all.
You know, the myth is that all gamers are millennials, young, fresh, still have
not.
hair on their head.
Clearly not. No, I game only just to try and understand what the consumers are actually doing and going through. So maybe a casual gamer.
You are a casual gamer.
To understand my consumer better, I'm a casual gamer. I'm just making sure my boss is also not in the audience. It's okay.
He isn't here, right? I don't think he is. So well, personally, what is your take on gaming? And as a company, what are the challenges that you think, if you could list down the criteria or the challenges that you face as a brand? Because we do understand that Nestlé has a very strict policy, for brand safety, not advertising to children, being very clear with no gore, no action. So we all would like to understand today from you, what are these criteria and what are the steps that you're taking as a brand?
So I think the first thing to recognize that we had to recognize was that gaming per se was a new phenomenon. But I think initially there was very much an interpretation that gaming was all about PUBG, Mobile Legends, and quite a specific niche, which was far away really from where we wanted to be in terms of our brand values, our brand safety guidelines, and the rest of that. What we had to realize though, and what we're now slowly understanding better, is when you come at it from understanding what is your advertising objective for the brand, what is your brand objective, why are you actually trying to do this specific type of campaign? If your target is in a gaming platform or a game platform or gamification or edutainment or whatever you want to call it, there is such a high level of potential engagement to engage with the consumer and engage with the brand. And so finding different ways of bringing your brand credibly to the consumer in that moment is very important. I think the key is that you don't start and do it just because it's the new big thing. Always, like all of media strategies or brand strategies, start with understanding what is the business objective, the brand objective, the comms objective, the media objective, and if your audience, understanding where your audience is at the particular point in time, and if it makes sense, then we try and find different alternative ways of engaging them.
So how soon is that going to happen?
We already do stuff, you know. No, but it is about also, I guess, a phenomenon that on the mobile, through gaming, consumers are becoming much more immersed in brand experiences, and that's a challenge for us as marketers to think of our brand experiences on mobile as highly immersive, and so we also can learn from how our consumers game to turn our advertising into gaming experiences.
All right, let's quickly jump on to this other question that we as a gaming aggregators asked is about brand safety. I'm assuming both you gentlemen are fairly serious about brand safety concerns. So my question to you is, why is it that the social media guys then get a leeway when it comes to advertising spends, while UGC inherently has a far high unpredictable nature towards brand safety? Anyone can go first. I mean, both of you have to answer. John.
Right. Okay. So I think first and foremost, brand safety is of top priority. And I think when we talk, like I mentioned, we are not a gaming brand, so we need to partner up, right? And every time we pick a partner, we make sure that all the regulations, safety, NDAs, and everything is signed off before we do everything. So we make sure that we secure ourselves in order to secure the consumer as well. And I think in terms of the user-generated content, I think in gaming, it's not as much as even social media. I think the idea is to be present where your consumer is. And like what Guy mentioned before, if really where your consumer is, if they are in the gaming industry and you're not present there, then you're missing out on opportunity. I think that's the way we see.
It doesn't usually happen that two competitors play tag team partners. He's taking it away from you, man. So, John, Guy, what's your take on brand safety?
No, I say the same thing. I mean, look, many of our brands, like many of you will know, are consumed by or bought by mums for kids. I don't want Dan Cow or Milo or brands like that sitting within Mobile Legend. One, it's from a brand safety perspective. Two, because it's just actually not right for the brand. So it comes back to just not jumping on the bandwagon for the sake of jumping on the bandwagon. We have to be very clear, very consistent. And like I said before, if there is a gaming platform that makes sense in context of the brief and the brand at the time, then of course it makes sense.
All right, just quickly let's talk about understanding the gamer, the eventual consumer. How much of an effort as a brand do you expect partners like us and your media agencies play in understanding that eventual gamer? You can call it precision marketing, you can call it audience planning, you could call it, you could have various nomenclature for it. But what is that one fundamental difference that you see in terms of legacy planning versus gaming? And when do you think gaming, given 73 million people, and by the end of 2020, we're looking at 100 million audience is there, actively engaging. What do you think is the basic criteria that will lead you to believe that gaming could be part of a hygiene mix in planning?
I think the whole world of mobile and digital anyway we're all challenged with measurement. And we were talking before about, why I won't just do it for the sake of getting awareness, for example. But I think gaming has an interesting challenge in where can it fit in the consumer funnel? Around when will we get to a point where it's truly about driving loyalty or purchase versus awareness or consideration and trial and the rest? So really getting down to understanding individual gamers and their behavior during a game, and where does it then fit within what the funnel objectives are. So I think it's on all of us to find the right mix and match of measurement within gaming against the comms objective.
John.
Yeah, I think, so that is one side of, the industry. I guess when we talk about precision marketing as well, and when we see, right now we see gamers as one dimension. Like, okay, so they're gamers, so we just need to be present there. But I think there is so much more, and there's this area where it's actually underdeveloped. The understanding of who they are, what type of games they play, do they spend on the platform, do they not, how often, how do they spend, all those kind of information is there. And I think that presents a huge opportunity for us as marketeers to really be, precise in that sense. And I think not just in terms of, placement, advertising placement, but also I think you have to look at gaming as the industry as a whole. Like what was mentioned by Mas Giring before, I think it's the industry, and it's not just about people playing the games, but it's also viewers of the games and people who are, living off of playing games as well. So professional players, professional clubs, all these come to play when we talk about the gaming industry and how brands really need to find a way of how they can fit themselves into this entire, industry.
Do you think enough, just some thoughts on that, do you think enough is being done by the industry and all players together to understand this gaming revolution, if I may use the word? And where do you think Indonesia is heading with the fact that Indonesia is the #1 country in Southeast Asia with the highest users, highest active users? Where do you think this is going to move in the next 1.5 to 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny it, right? But I think from a brand perspective, it's really also incumbent on us and brands and advertisers and whatever to understand the psychology behind it, because games, by definition, have exactly what brands are looking for, which is the most intense engagement on the screen and very, very personal, highly personalized, which is where we're ultimately all trying to get to, right? Is that sense. And so I think we all have that opportunity to work out where does gaming as a platform fit in going forward to really make sure that we're giving really good brand experiences and not just whacking advertising billboards inside, right, into these platforms, which is just like being incredibly disruptive.
So it's basically purpose-driven. It has to be purpose-driven, otherwise it's futile as an effort. How about you, John?
Yeah, I think, so one thing I want to highlight is for brands to be, to build salience in the gaming industry, it's not just about being present. The key is to disrupt without being disruptive, because nobody likes when they're playing, suddenly an ad shows up and then you die. Like, nobody likes that. So it's really building the experience as well. And I think as a total industry, I think what is unique about the industry, especially in Indonesia, I think not in every country, not in every presidential election campaign, you hear the president saying that he actively supports, and he even calls out specific game names. Like, that is something I wouldn't expect, right? So I think the support, the level of support, because it's not just about the games, it's also the infrastructure and the ecosystem around it that helps sustain the industry. And I think this is just the beginning. I think this is not a bubble that's going to burst. I think this is a trend that will stay. And for us marketeers, I mean, we can theorize, we can calculate all we want, but I think at the end of the day, marketing is 50% logic and 50% magic. So.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for this. I hope I did address some of the questions that you may have. If there are any others, you can catch both these gentlemen around the coffee break. Thank you very much.